Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are doing fantastic today, and welcome to our presentation on one of my favorite topics, life on board Amtrak with Amtrak Vacations. Very exciting. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nick Bonnell, and I am one of our business development executives over here with Amtrak Vacations. A little bit about myself. I absolutely love rail travel. I've done quite a bit extensively throughout the United States, Canada, and throughout Europe, so it's something I'm very passionate about, and I love it. And I've had next week, I will actually be celebrating my 6th year with Amtrak Vacations. So it's very exciting over here, and I'm looking forward to sharing a lot of this great information with all of you today. Stay tuned towards the end of the presentation as we'll have some really wonderful promotions for you all, as well as one lucky person will win a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card. So very exciting. Before we get started, don't forget to download the handout where that top arrow is pointing. It's going to highlight a lot of the great vacation packages that we're going to be covering today. As well as if you have any questions at all throughout the presentation today, please feel free to input those questions into the questions box, and I will be more than happy to answer any and all questions towards the end of the presentation today. So let's hop right into it. And first and foremost, ask ourselves what makes Amtrak Vacations different? Well, there's several reasons for that. First and foremost, traveling by rail is a bucket list experience. In fact, we surveyed all of our travelers last year as to why they traveled with Amtrak and Amtrak Vacations. And the number one consensus answer we kept seeing was that it was a bucket list trip. If you think about it, you all have done the ocean cruises. You've done the all-inclusives to Mexico and the Caribbean and to Hawaii. You've gone to Walt Disney World. You've done those escorted European and Asian tours. You've now conquered river cruising, and you're looking for that next adventure. Something fun, something different, something unique. The rail can satisfy each and every single one of those needs. There's room to roam. Take what you know about being cooped up in an airplane for hours on end, or in a motor coach where you can't get up and move around at all. With Amtrak, it's the exact opposite. You're in fact encouraged to freely move amongst the train. Get up, visit the cafe car, visit the dining car, or visit my personal favorite, the observation car, which we'll touch base on in just a moment. There's less hassle. There's none of this business about checking in 24 hours ahead of time, or paying for your checked luggage ahead of schedule, or showing up 2 to 3 hours before your departure like you would with a flight. No, no. How does 45 minutes to an hour sound? I can tell you that is the average time people will typically show up prior to their Amtrak departure, truly making it as hassle-free and as worry-free as possible for you. City to city service. Now, I love this because one thing I dislike are those long airport transfers. Sometimes you fly into a place and you have up to an hour-long drive to get you to where you need to be. Where's the fun in that? Seriously. With Amtrak, there's no need for that, as we typically go from downtown to downtown, putting you right into the heart of where all the action is right off the bat. Look at New York Penn Station. It's right in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. Look at Chicago Union Station. It's right in the heart of the loop of downtown Chicago. Or look at Los Angeles Union Station. It's right in the heart of downtown LA. We put you right where you want to be so you can start your vacationing off on the right foot. Satisfy your hunger. Now, this we'll touch base on in just a little bit. I just want you all to know that whenever you do upgrade to the sleeping accommodations on board the train, meals are automatically included, and you won't want to miss out on that, as the food on Amtrak is really delicious. And lastly, flexibility. One of the best parts about our vacation packages is they truly have the ability to operate almost on a daily basis. With just the exception of a couple of our seasonal national park packages, almost every single package we offer operates daily. So you can really travel when you want to travel. It's not like the cruises where there's select sailing dates, or the escorted tours where there's select start dates. Now, I love showing this map because it really amazes me at how extensive Amtrak's system really is. In fact, Amtrak services 46 out of the 48 continental states here in the U.S., with the exceptions of South Dakota and Wyoming. And last year, Amtrak set their ridership record with over 32.5 million passengers. To put that into perspective, if Amtrak was an airline, Amtrak would have been the 6th most flown airline in the world. Pretty impressive, huh? Definitely goes to show you that rail travel is in demand, and there's no time but now for you to experience it firsthand. Now you might ask, Nick, where do these vacation packages start? Well, luckily for you, all of our rail vacation packages can be customized to start from your hometown. There's over 500 Amtrak stations throughout the United States and Canada, so there's bound to be a station locally to you, and you can start and or end any of these vacation packages at any of those local stations. Alternatively, if you wanted to fly to your start destination and or fly home from your end destination. You can completely do that. It's completely up to you. I can tell you quite a bit of our travelers do fly at some point on their Amtrak vacation. Now, I mentioned customization, but what exactly does that mean? Well, all of our packages, especially the ones that you'll see today, all have the ability to be customized and tailor-made to your liking. You can add nights to our packages or remove nights, add a destination or remove a destination, do a trip in reverse, do a portion of a package, or we can build a package from the ground up for you. It's all a possibility with Amtrak Vacations. Another really great idea and thing that people do for customization is combining itineraries, taking two different trips and building them into one big trip, truly enhancing it and making it even more special. Like perhaps take our Rails to the Grand Canyon, for example, which is by far one of our most popular Grand Canyon packages we have to offer. Perhaps you take that package, maybe add a couple of extra nights at the El Tovar Hotel, which is one of the most majestic lodges in any of our national parks. It's right up at the south rim of this Grand Canyon. Maybe add a couple of extra nights up there to the package, and maybe on the back end add our Los Angeles Getaway. Maybe you've never been to the Southwest and you want to maybe really enhance your trip. Maybe add a couple of nights in Los Angeles and some sightseeing and really make it even more well-rounded. Another great customization and combination is taking our Glacier National Park Express, which is 2 nights Chicago, 3 nights Glacier Park, and 2 nights in Seattle, and combining that with our Seattle, Vancouver, and Victoria rail journey. Perhaps you've never been to the Pacific Northwest and you want to see what some of the best cities up there are all about. So we can definitely enhance that by adding in Vancouver and Victoria. It's completely up to you, combining itineraries, starting from your hometown, and creating vacation packages designed for you. Now, one of the best parts, just mentioned it, but one of the best parts about the train is you have the freedom to get out of your seat and move around. You're not stuck in this seat for hours on end. You actually have the ability to get up, move around, visit the different cars, and mingle with your fellow riders. One of my favorite elements of traveling by rail is you can see the country from the window of the train. If you think about it, Amtrak really is the best way to see all the different landscapes that the United States has to offer. If we're really lucky here in the US, if you think about it, because we have every type of landscape imaginable. We have beaches and coastlines, we have mountains, we have big cities, we have evergreen forests, deserts, rainforests, prairies, plains, swamplands, small town America. And the best part is you can see all of that from the comfort of an Amtrak train. It is the best way to see your backyard. Now, let's hop right into what it's like life is like all about on the Amtrak train. And the first thing we're going to go over is packing for the train, because Amtrak has by far the most generous luggage policy in all of the travel industry. Take what you know about the airplanes and throw it out the window, as Amtrak really is the best for luggage. Each passenger on an Amtrak train is allowed 2 pieces of carry-on luggage up to 50 pounds each bag, 2 pieces of check-in luggage up to 50 pounds each bag, as well as a personal item. So figure along the lines of a backpack, briefcase, pocketbook, purse, or even a small duffel bag. And the best part about it is it can all be checked in up to 45 minutes prior to your departure. So there's really no need to rush with that. It's not like the airlines where you have to be there several hours ahead of time to check your luggage in. With Amtrak, 45 minutes, you can check it in and be perfectly fine. And this is all, keep in mind, everyone, this is all complimentary with the train. I think most airlines at this point are charging at minimum $25 for one check bag. Amtrak allows 2 carry-on, 2 check-in, and 1 personal item, all included in your train ticket. And let's go over the different types of accommodations on board the train, because in a little bit when we start going over the itineraries, you're going to hear me talking about coach and sleepers, but what exactly does that all mean? So let's hop right into that. And the first thing we're going to highlight is coach seating on board the train. Now, once again, we're going to pick on the airlines quite a bit throughout this presentation. So same with this, take what you know about the airlines and throw it out the window, because the coach seating on Amtrak is actually comfortable. The seats themselves are typically double the size of your standard airplane seat. They recline at a 45-degree angle, and they also have a leg rest as well. And the legroom is uncomparable. In fact, last year I traveled with one of my colleagues who's 6'6". He could fully stretch his legs out and still have room to spare. Good luck finding that on the airlines. Once again, if you do, you're going to be paying quite the premium on that. This is standard on board the Amtrak train. Now, coach seating is wonderful. It's very comfortable. However, meals and shower access are not included with coach seating. And if you're doing a night or more on board the train, you're probably going to want to A, take a shower, and you're probably B, going to want to eat. So where do we go from there? So that's right, we can upgrade to the roomettes. The roomettes are by far the most popular type of sleeper on board the Amtrak train. During the day, it's two big seats that face each other with a big picture window and a fold-out table in between. At night, the two seats convert to the lower bed, and right above where this lady's head is, the top bed pulls down. Now, I do want to make note with the roomettes, meals are absolutely included. However, the bathrooms and showers are located down the hall. And yes, they are private but shared. So, yes, you will be sharing them with the rest of the people that have roomette accommodations in the same car. But yes, it's private. Once you're in there, you're in there. There's a lock on the door. It's not like a college dormitory where people are coming in and out. And the neat thing is, it's a full-size bathroom with a full-size shower. And I can tell you, taking a shower on board the train is quite the experience in itself. In fact, there is nothing better than taking a shower at 80 miles per hour. Now, you might say, Nick, this sounds wonderful, but is there a way I can get my own bathroom in room? You sure can. We can upgrade you to the bedrooms. The bedrooms are a little bit bigger than the roomettes, and it's a bit of a different setup. So during the day, it's more of a sofa-style seating, like where that lady is sitting, with an extra captain's chair as well, where the gentleman is sitting. At night, that sofa-style seating converts to the lower bed, and right above where this lady's head is, much like the roomettes, the top bed pulls down. Now, with the bedrooms, you have the exact same amenities you would with the roomettes. So you get, all your meals included. You get complimentary coffee, tea, bottles of water. You also get all your linens, blankets, pillows, towels, everything that you ever might need with that. But also with the bedroom, you do get a private toilet, sink, and shower in room for your use and your use alone when you have the bedroom accommodations. Now let's continue and visit my favorite area on board the train. That's right, I'm talking about the observation car. The observation car really is the best place on board the train to see the scenery pass before your eyes. It really is your front row seat. I can tell you, out of every single time I've ever been on the train, other than to eat, sleep, and shower, I do not leave the observation car because it really is the best. It has floor-to-ceiling windows with a glass dome top, and the seats actually face outwards towards the windows. I remember last year I did the Southwest Chief train, the train that runs from Chicago to Los Angeles. And I remember passing through New Mexico and seeing wide open desert plains, snow-capped mountains in the backgrounds, plateaus. I mean, I'm from New England. I've never seen a plateau in my life up until that point. It was really special. I honestly felt like John Wayne or Clint Eastwood were going to ride alongside the train and come on board. I felt like I was in the Wild West. It truly made for some memorable experiences. Now, one of the best parts about the observation car is directly below as well, because you will have the lounge car, otherwise known as the observation car, which offers booth seating as well as more seating as well to really enjoy the sceneries. But in the lounge car, you will also find the cafe, where you'll be able to order snacks such as chips, candies, bags of peanuts, soft drinks, sodas, coffee, tea, as well as you'll even be able to buy alcoholic beverages such as beer, wine, and spirits, as well as lighter fare like hamburgers, hot dogs, slices of pizza, and sandwiches. I absolutely love it, and one of my favorite things to do down there is I like to go down, get myself a glass of wine, head up to the observation car, put my headphones on, and really kick back and enjoy the scenery as it passes before my eyes. It's one of my favorite experiences. So highly recommend that, and you definitely will enjoy your experience with that. And of course, dining. I know I've mentioned it earlier, but whenever you do upgrade to sleepers on board the train, meals are automatically included. And you won't want to mess out on that, as the food on Amtrak is delicious. We're going to pick on the airlines once again. Take what you know about airplane food and those little tinfoil meals and throw them out the window, because we aren't going to be eating those. So, and you'd be amazed at the quality of meals that are freshly served on board the train on the Amtrak system. Take, for instance, for breakfast, there's pancakes or waffles, bacon and eggs, omelets. For lunch, there's juicy cheeseburgers, grilled chicken salads, pasta dishes. For dinner, there's fish, there's chicken, and of course, there's Amtrak's signature dish, the Amtrak signature steak, which I can tell you firsthand, I've had it 2 nights in a row, absolutely loved it, and I know you all will too. And the whole process on board the train and dining on board the train is really lovely. As soon as you board the train, the dining car attendant will come by, set up reservation times that you want to eat your meals. When it's time to eat, you head down to the dining car, take a seat in one of these big comfortable booths with a white linen tablecloth layout. You get to order from a menu and from a server like you would at a restaurant. So really, if you think about it, Amtrak isn't just transportation, but it's a restaurant, a hotel, and sightseeing all on the rails, and it's all rolled up into one amazing experience that you're all going to absolutely love. So with all that said, everybody, all aboard, and let's hop into some of our top itineraries for 2019. And I'm very excited to present this next one for you, the first one we're going to go over, which is our Grand National Parks featuring the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, and Glacier National Park. Now, we launched this package for 2017 summer, and it has been by far one of our top itineraries since then. For the simple fact that A, it utilizes and visits some of the most prestigious national parks here in the United States, and B, it utilizes some of the most scenic routes on board the Amtrak system, such as the Southwest Chief, the Coast Starlight, as well as the Empire Builder. So this trip starts off out of Chicago, and we do the overnight train from Chicago on the Southwest Chief from Chicago to Williams, Arizona, where we arrive the following evening. When we get into Williams, Arizona, we're going to do one night at the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel, which is a really fantastic property. It's actually a completely train-themed property, and it really is the gateway to the Grand Canyon because this is where the Grand Canyon Railway starts from and comes back to. So we'll do a night in Williams at the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel. The next morning, you will all hop aboard the Grand Canyon Railway, which is the antique steam train that will take you from Williams, Arizona up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. I absolutely love it because it adds another train experience to a train vacations. Not only are you getting the Amtrak experience, but you get that classic antique steam train experience as well. And there's a reason why this train has been operational for over 110 years. The scenery on it is unbelievable. It actually passes through the largest ponderosa forest in the state of Arizona. So after we enjoy our journey on the Grand Canyon Railway, we will arrive up into the south rim of the Grand Canyon. And when we get up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon, we are met by a motor coach for a guided tour of the Grand Canyon South Rim, which will highlight a lot of the key sites at the South Rim. After our night up there, the tour, we'll then check into one of the lodges up at the Grand Canyon Village, where we will do one night up in one of the lodges at the South Rim. After our night in the South Rim is all done, we will then hop back on board the Grand Canyon Railway the next afternoon. We'll take that back down to Williams, Arizona. And when we get into Williams, we'll then switch over to the Amtrak Southwest Chief and do the overnight train on the Southwest Chief to Los Angeles. And we'll arrive into Los Angeles, California the following morning. When we get into Los Angeles, we will switch trains over to Amtrak's most scenic train. In fact, this train has been voted the most scenic train in North America the past 3 years. That's right, we're switching over to the Coast Starlight. We're going to leave Los Angeles that morning. And then we're going to arrive into San Francisco, California later that evening. And when we get into San Francisco, we are going to do 2 nights in a downtown San Francisco hotel, typically in the Fisherman's Wharf area or the Financial District area. While we're in San Francisco, we will get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take us around the city on a big loop, and we can get off and on as we please at all the different sites and attractions. But the real highlight of staying in San Francisco is you get a full-day guided motor coach tour to Yosemite National Park. Now, this tour is fantastic because you won't have to worry about getting yourselves to and from the park. The tour will pick you up at your hotel, drive you out to the park, and you get a full-day comprehensive tour of the Yosemite Valley. You're absolutely going to love this. After our stay in Yosemite is all said and done, and our stay in San Francisco is all said and done, we then hop aboard the Amtrak Coast Starlight once again, and we will then head north and do an overnight train on the Coast Starlight as we go from San Francisco up to Seattle, Washington. And when we get into Seattle the next evening, we will do one night in a downtown Seattle hotel. After our stay in Seattle is all said and done, we will then hop aboard the Amtrak Empire Builder, the most northern route on the Amtrak system. And we are going to do an overnight train from Seattle to Glacier National Park, where we arrive the following morning. And when we get into Glacier Park, we are going to do 3 nights at the historic Glacier Park Lodge. Now, the Glacier Park Lodge is the oldest of the Glacier Park Railroad hotels. It's an absolutely fantastic property. And the best part about the Glacier Park Lodge is it is only situated 209 steps away from the Glacier Park train station. You can walk from front door to front door with ease. Now, while we're up at Glacier Park, you will have a couple different things included. First and foremost, we get the Two Medicine Valley Boat Cruise, which is a boat ride on Two Medicine Lake, situated in the Two Medicine Valley, absolutely beautiful area of the park. But then the real highlight of Glacier Park is you get the Big Sky Circle Tour, which is the full-day tour. It is by far the most comprehensive tour that Glacier Park has to offer. It's a full-day tour that utilizes the Going to the Sun Road, which is the main stretch of highway that runs right through the middle of Glacier Park. And it utilizes the famous Red Jammer buses, which are these extended-out World War II open-top Jeeps that really make it even more special while exploring Glacier National Park. Now, once our fun in Glacier is all said and done, we will then hop back on board the Amtrak Empire Builder and do the overnight train back to Chicago. So this trip right here is 14 days, 13 nights. It's 2 weeks long. We get round trip service in coach accommodations on the Grand Canyon Railway. We get the motor coach tour of the Grand Canyon South Rim. We get the sightseeing tour of Yosemite National Park from San Francisco, as well as a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour. We get the Big Sky Circle Tour and the 2 Medicine Valley boat cruise of Glacier Park. Overall, it's 8 nights hotel, 5 nights on board the train, and yes, those 5 nights on the train are in coach accommodations, which we can absolutely upgrade to the sleepers, where you all will get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included. Now, I'm beyond excited to share this next trip with you all, as it is brand new for us. Literally just launched it about 2 months ago, and it features a couple of our most brand new destinations. That's right, this is our Grand National Parks of the Southwest. Very excited about this. As I mentioned, it includes a few brand new destinations for us. So this trip starts off out of Chicago, and we do the overnight train on the California Zephyr as we go from Chicago to Grand Junction, Colorado, where we arrive the following afternoon. When we get into Grand Junction, we'll do 1 night in a centrally located hotel right in Grand Junction. And while we're in Grand Junction, Colorado, the next day, you will hop aboard a sightseeing transfer. Now, this sightseeing transfer is going to bring you from Grand Junction to Springdale, Utah. Now, the reason why I say it's a sightseeing transfer, because it's going to be your transportation from point A to point B, but in the midst of it, you're going to do some sightseeing. Now, while you're going down from Grand Junction to Springdale, the tour bus is going to stop off at both Arches and Canyonlands National Park, where you get to experience the best of both of those different national parks. We'll then head down to Springdale. When we get into Springdale, Utah, you will do 2 nights in a centrally located hotel right in Springdale, Utah. And on the full day while we're in Springdale, we will have a full day guided sightseeing tour of one of our most visited national parks here in the United States. That's right, we're talking about Zion National Park, another brand new destination for us. We're very excited about this. It was actually by far our most requested destination that we never offered before, and we now have it for all of you. And so depth to visit and to enjoy. So keep that in mind. After our 2 nights in Springdale are all said and done, and after we've toured Zion, we'll then hop back on board that sightseeing transfer motor coach, and we'll go back from Springdale back up to Grand Junction, Colorado. But this time en route, we're going to stop off at both Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef National Parks and get to experience the best of those parks as well. After we sightsee both of these parks, we'll then do 1 night in Grand Junction, Colorado once again, and then we'll hop back on board the Amtrak California Zephyr and do the overnight train back to Chicago. So this trip right here is 7 days, 6 nights, so 1 week long, and in that week time frame, you get to visit 5 different national parks. Very exciting. On this package as well, you'll get to visit Arches, Canyonlands, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, as well as Zion National Parks. You get round-trip Amtrak and coach accommodations from Chicago to Grand Junction. You get the round-trip transfers from Grand Junction down to Springdale. Overall, it's 4 nights hotel, 2 nights on board the train, and yes, those 2 nights on the train are in coach accommodations. Once again, we can upgrade those to the sleepers. You'll get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included. Now let's continue. Maybe you want to experience some of the rail, but maybe you don't want to just keep it in the United States. Maybe you want to see the best on both sides of the border. Well, very excited about this package, as it was one of our top itineraries for 2018, and it's already taken off like crazy for 2019. It's our US and Canada rail experience, which I love because you get to see 2 different countries in one vacation package. So this trip starts off out of Chicago, and we do the overnight train, our 2-night train on the Empire Builder as we go from Chicago to Seattle, Washington. When we arrive into Seattle, we'll switch over to Amtrak's most scenic regional route, the Cascades, as we go from Seattle up to Vancouver, BC. When we get up to Vancouver, we will do 2 nights in a downtown Vancouver hotel. And while we're up in Vancouver, we're going to have a couple different things included. First and foremost, we're going to have a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take us around Vancouver on a big loop, and we can get off and on as we please, all the different sites and attractions that Vancouver has to offer. As well as we'll get admission to the Vancouver Lookout, which is the observation level atop Harbor Center Tower. It's the tallest building in the city of Vancouver and offers some really amazing views of the city of Vancouver, Vancouver Harbor, as well as the surrounding forests and mountains. It's really beautiful. After our fun in Vancouver is all said and done, we will then hop aboard the Via Rail Canadienne train. And we're going to do the 4-night train as we go all the way from Vancouver to Toronto, Ontario. Now, that train ride is unbelievable, as you will really get to see every type of landscape that Canada has to offer. As soon as you enter into Alberta, you'll be able to see the Canadian Rockies from the train. You'll be able to see the Great Plains and the Great Plains and Prairies of Canada. You'll see wonderful city skylines, such as of Vancouver, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Saskatoon, just as an example. As we go 4 days, it's a 4-night train ride, and ultimately we will arrive into Toronto. When we get into Toronto, we'll do 1 night in a downtown Toronto hotel. And while we're in Toronto, we will have a couple different things included once again. First off, we'll get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of Toronto, as well as we'll get admission to the CN Tower, which is Toronto's most iconic landmark. Once our fun in Toronto is all said and done, we will then transfer you from Toronto down to Buffalo, New York. And when we get into Buffalo, we will then hop aboard the Amtrak Lakeshore Limited train and do the overnight train from Buffalo back to Chicago. So this trip is an 11-day, 10-night journey. We get hop-on, hop-off tours of both Vancouver and Toronto. We get admission to the Vancouver Lookout, as well as admission tickets to the CN Tower. We get 3 nights hotel, 3 nights on board Amtrak, and 4 nights on Via. And yes, all this train is in coach accommodations, both the Amtrak and the Via Rail components. And yes, we can upgrade to the sleepers on those. Much like Amtrak, Via Rail is economy coach. However, with the sleepers on Via Rail, you can upgrade to the sleepers. You'll get a private room with beds, shower access, and with Via Rail, the private rooms do have a private toilet in-sink in-room for you. Now, I'm very excited to share this next trip. It's our Grand Rail experience. Now, this is the ideal trip if you want to see the most of the United States within one vacation package, as this trip almost visits every single corner in the U.S. So this trip starts off out of Chicago, and we do the 2-night train journey on the Empire Builder from Chicago to Seattle, where we arrive 2 days later into Seattle, and we do 2 nights in a downtown Seattle hotel. While we're in Seattle, we will get a guided sightseeing tour of the city of Seattle, which will highlight a lot of the key sites that Seattle is famous for. After our fun in Seattle is all said and done, we will then hop aboard the Coast Starlight and do the Coast Starlight in its entirety as we go from Seattle all the way down to Los Angeles, where we arrive the following evening. When we get into Los Angeles, we will do 1 night in a downtown Los Angeles hotel. And then the next morning, you will then have a guided, you'll have a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of Los Angeles, which will highlight a lot of the key sites that LA is famous for. So you'll get to go up through Hollywood and see the Walk of Fame and the Grauman's Chinese Theater. You'll go up into the Beverly Hills and the Hollywood Hills. You'll get to see some of the famous sites of downtown Los Angeles, such as the famous Bradbury Building. It's a really wonderful, wonderful tour that will get you around. You'll make the most of your day. That evening, after we've done sightseeing through Los Angeles, that evening we will then hop aboard Amtrak's most southern route, the Sunset Limited. And we're going to do a 2-night train journey from Los Angeles all the way to New Orleans. And when we get into New Orleans, we are going to do 2 nights in a downtown New Orleans hotel, typically on Canal Street or in the French Quarter, so right where you want to be. And while we're in New Orleans, we get a guided sightseeing city tour of New Orleans, which will highlight a lot of the rich history that New Orleans is known for. After our fun in New Orleans is all said and done, we will then hop aboard the Amtrak Crescent train. And we're going to do an overnight train from New Orleans all the way up to Washington, D.C., where we arrive the following morning. And when we get into Washington, D.C., we are going to do 1 night there in a Capitol Hill or a DuPont Circle area of town or hotel. And while we're there, we get one of my favorite sightseeing tours I've ever been on. Now, I have been literally all over the world. I've done tons of really amazing sightseeing in all the different cities and countries I've visited. This tour is still by far one of my favorite. We will include the Monuments by Moonlight tour. Now, this tour is a nighttime tour that will take you by some of the famous memorials and monuments of Washington, D.C., and you get to see them all lit up and illuminated in the evening. It's a really, really amazing tour. After our fun in Washington is all said and done, we are then going to hop aboard the Capital Limited train and do the overnight train from Washington, D.C. back to Chicago. So this trip right here is 2 weeks long. It's 14 days, 13 nights. We get a hop-on, hop-off tours of both Seattle and Los Angeles. We get a sightseeing tour of New Orleans, as well as the Monuments by Moonlight tour of Washington, D.C. Overall, it's 6 nights hotel, 7 nights on board the train. And while we're doing those 7 nights on the train, you're definitely going to want to upgrade to the sleepers on that, where we get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included. Now, maybe you like the idea of this trip, but maybe it's just a tad bit too long. Well, keep in mind, too, we got other options for you. We got tons of options. Of course, we could do our Northern Rail experience, which, as you can see, is very similar, but it's a little bit shorter. So this one is definitely very impressive as well. This one, we start off out of Chicago, doing the 2 nights on board the Empire Builder as we go from Chicago to Seattle. When we get to Seattle, we'll do 1 night in a downtown Seattle hotel. And while we're in Seattle, we'll get a sightseeing tour once again. From Seattle, we will then hop aboard the Coast Starlight and do the overnight train from Seattle down to San Francisco, where we arrive the following morning. And in San Francisco, we are going to do 2 nights in a downtown San Francisco hotel. And while we're in San Francisco, we're going to have a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, as well as we'll have a guided tour of Muir Woods and Sausalito. So you'll be able to see the giant redwood trees of the Muir Woods, as well as the coastal town of Sausalito. As well as to cap it all off, you get a sightseeing bay cruise of San Francisco Bay. After our fun there is all said and done, we'll then hop aboard the Amtrak California Zephyr and do the 2-night journey from San Francisco all the way back to Chicago. So this one right here, 9 days, 8 nights. We get hop-on, hop-off tours of both Seattle and San Francisco. We get the sightseeing tour of Muir Woods and Sausalito, as well as the sightseeing cruise of San Francisco Bay. 3 nights hotel, 5 nights on the train and coach seating. You already know what I'm going to say. We can upgrade those to the sleepers. You get that private room with beds, shower access, and meals on board the train included. Now, for all of these packages we have to offer, you can choose the hotels that work best for your needs, as we work with hotels ranging from 3 to 5 stars. So we have every type of hotel imaginable for any type of traveler, which is pretty exciting. We have the hotels that are perfect for you. Let's pay a visit to our most popular year-round national park. Maybe you don't want to visit multiple destinations. Maybe you just want to go down to the Grand Canyon. Well, keep in mind, we have wonderful options for that for you as well, such as our Grand Canyon Getaway round trip from Chicago. Now, if you do notice, a lot of these trips do start and end in Chicago, and the reason for that is simply because that is Amtrak's hub station. However, all of these trips can be picked up out of anywhere in the United States or Canada. So this trip, just for as an example, is 6 days, 5 nights. We do 3 nights down in the Grand Canyon area. We do 2 nights in Williams at the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel, 1 night up at the South Rim. It includes round trip service and coach accommodations on the Grand Canyon Railway, as well as the Grand Canyon Freedom Tour of the South Rim. And yes, the sleepers on that are not included. It is in coach seating. Once again, we can upgrade that most definitely for you. As well as we have some really amazing city destinations as well. Take, for instance, Chicago, always a popular option for us. Maybe you're looking for just a quick little weekend away. You can always hit up the Windy City. It's always a fun destination. This is our Chicago Ultimate Getaway, 4 days, 3 nights, 3 nights right in the heart of downtown Chicago. While we're there, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take us around the city on a big loop. We can get off and on as we please at all the different sites and attractions. We also get the Chicago City Pass, which will get us admission into some of Chicago's top attractions, such as the Shed Aquarium, which is the second biggest aquarium in the United States, or the Skydeck Chicago, which is the observation level atop the Willis Tower. It's the second tallest building in the United States. You can also visit the Field Museum of Natural History, the Art Institute of Chicago, the John Hancock Observatory, the Adler Planetarium. I mean, there are so many options on that. As well as, lastly, you'll get dinner included at a popular restaurant. I highly recommend a restaurant we work with called the Italian Village Restaurants. They're actually the oldest Italian restaurants in the city of Chicago. I've eaten there several times myself, and the food is delicious. Or maybe you want to go visit the city that never sleeps. Keep in mind, folks, this is always a wonderful option. New York City, you can definitely, year-round, it's always an amazing city to visit. This is our New York City Ultimate Getaway. It's 4 days, 3 nights right in Midtown Manhattan. While we're there, we get a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take us around the city on a big loop. We also get dinner at a popular local restaurant. I highly recommend a restaurant called The View that we work with. It's the revolving restaurant atop the Marriott Marquis Hotel in Times Square, and it's a really amazing cuisine and it offers some really breathtaking views of the New York skyline as you enjoy your dinner. And lastly, we also include the New York City Pass, which will once again get you admission to some of New York's top attractions, such as the Empire State Building, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the 9/11 Museum and Memorial, the American Museum of Natural History, the Guggenheim. You can even take the ferry out to the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island. Now, we've barely scratched the surface of what we can offer to all of you. The best way to see, honestly, all of our destinations and packages is to pay a visit to our website at amtrakvacations.com. It'll bring you here to our main page. From there, the best way to see all of the packages is if you hover over where that red arrow is pointing. That will drop down and you can navigate through and search by destination and see all of the different packages we have to offer. Also, too, while you're on our website, please pay a visit to the trip planning section. It's going to be a lot of useful information for yourselves in there in regards to luggage and baggage, dining, accessibility, as well as the onboard the train experience. If you do have time, please click on that onboard the train portion on our website. You'll actually be able to utilize the Amtrak virtual experience, which you'll actually be able to get 360-degree views of every single room and train on every single room and car on board the Amtrak train, really giving you a first-person's perspective of what it's like on the Amtrak system. Also, please feel free while you're on our website to click on our blog where that red arrow is pointing. That you can revisit and view some of our previous webinars from the past and definitely see, because the neat thing is they're all different topics, so you can definitely revisit and learn a little bit about our different destinations and watch and listen to some of our previous presentations. Now, how do you book with Amtrak Vacations? Well, there's several ways and you can do so. You could give us a call at 1-800-268-7252. One of our amazing vacations consultants will be more than happy to help you book your dream rail vacation. You could book through our website. I always would recommend calling over that. Or what I always recommend and what I always do, give a call or pay a visit to your local travel agent. They will be more than happy to help you plan your dream rail vacation. In fact, I can tell you, I've been in the travel industry for over 10 years. I still utilize my travel agent for all my personal travel. Reason being, they're an amazing resource. They always have my best interests, and they help me plan some really amazing vacations for myself. I love my local travel agent, and I always recommend using one. They're one of the best resources ever. And keep in mind, too, everybody, we have some really amazing everyday discounts for you all to help you save some money on your vacation packages. If you're traveling with any children ages 2 to 12, the kids receive a 50% discount off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package. If you're a senior traveler age 65 and over, you automatically get 10% off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package. And lastly, if you're active duty military, you, your spouse, and your dependents get a 10% discount off the rail portion of a package, just as a thank you for your service. As well as for everyone, keep an eye to your email inbox because you will be getting an email soon that you'll be receiving a $100 upgrade voucher. So definitely keep your eyes peeled to your emails and inboxes. You'll be getting that, and that promotion that you'll be getting will be valid until January 23rd. So you'll have a couple of weeks to utilize that. But I wouldn't wait because I can tell you the phones have been ringing off the hook. People are booking vacation packages left and right for 2019. You don't want to miss your opportunity to experience the rail firsthand. And don't forget to download the handout where that top arrow is pointing. It has a lot of great information on there about some of the trips that we covered today. As well as if you have any questions, now's the time to input those into the questions box. I've seen tons and tons and tons of them coming through. So please feel free to input those. I'm going to answer all of these questions in just a moment. But before I do so, I need to name our winner of a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card. And today's lucky winner for our $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card is Connie Ouellette. Congratulations, Connie. Well deserved. And for everyone, I want to thank you all just so much for joining me. Now's the time I'm going to open it up for questions. So let me scroll all the way to the top. Let's see. So I got a question here from Richard. Can one person get a sleeper? Most definitely. The sleeping accommodations you can get as a single, as a solo traveler. Now, I always do get the question, will I be paired up with a stranger? No, you absolutely would not. If you get a sleeping accommodation, that room is for you and yourself alone. Let's see. That's a great question, Richard. Thank you. Let me see, Mitchell. With the changes in the dining on some of the East Coast routes, including New York to Chicago, are there proposals to provide more warm box? Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know too much. That's Amtrak Direct's how they're handling their business with the food on the thing. I can tell you with most of what we do with the long distance routes, especially out west, it's full dining car, so you don't have to worry about any of those those boxed lunches or anything like that. They have full service dining cars on there. Let's see. Yes, Karen. Thank you so much, Karen. Karen said that I should mention the business first class lounges in certain stations and that she loved the one in Los Angeles. Yes, the Metropolitan lounges. Whenever you have the sleeping accommodations, you do have access to the Metropolitan lounges in the stations. Now, are these lounges? They're very similar to when you fly and you can go to those different airline clubs. It's really fantastic. You'll be able to have while you're there, they give you there's couches, there's seats, there's TVs, there's access to complimentary snacks and candy, soft drinks, coffee, tea. You have at priority boarding with the train, and you also have a special luggage storage area too in those as well. So if you do have the sleepers, that is another added benefit of the sleepers. You get access to the Metropolitan lounges. Thank you for that, Karen. Let's see, Robert. I want to travel by train from East Coast to West Coast and do a return. I'm not looking for side trips. Is that possible? Most definitely. All of our trips are completely customizable where we can do that for you. Ron, how do I plan for an Amtrak vacation when Amtrak is cutting back or eliminating routes and converting some portions to bus? They haven't gotten rid of any routes in over 10 years, really. No, there are the throughway services. I mean, that's inevitable with some of the destinations and places like that. But as a whole, they haven't really eliminated any routes. So a lot of our trips will definitely be able to, utilize that. So you'll be fine with that. Connie, is the food in the lounge car included when you have a roomette, including peanuts, candies, and candy chips, etc.? No, those would be out of pocket. You would have to pay for those, but your meals in the dining car are included. Glenn, is there vegetarian options available? Yes. There are 3 diets Amtrak's menu will absolutely keep: vegetarian, vegan, and kosher. However, if you do have a food allergy or an intolerance, say like for gluten or anything like that, however, just let us know or let your travel agent know, as well as let your server know on board the train, much like you would in a restaurant, just so they can definitely accommodate to your dietary restrictions. Great question, Glenn. Connie, do we tip the waiters and the porters? Yes. Waiters, I would tip them typically how you would tip in a restaurant, so 18 to 20% per meal. For the porters, I always recommend $5 per person per service. I would also recommend the same thing for the car attendants on board the train, $5 per person per day. So, because they're the person that's really going to be there to help make up your bed, set up your rooms, and be there to really make your trip as worry-free and as hassle-free as possible. Let's see. Keep going. Kelly, are the tours okay for older guests who have difficulties walking? Yes, I can tell you our clientele is typically 55 plus anyway, so it's usually folks that are a bit on the mature side. So, the trips are absolutely fine with people that have difficulties walking. In fact, Amtrak does their best, and we do the best job possible too with our vacation packages for folks with mobility and mobility issues and handicap issues as well. Sharon, unfortunately, we don't do group travel. We just don't have the ability to do groups because our allocated space does not have anything like that with the hotels we work with. So just don't necessarily do big group travel, unfortunately. Linda, this is a great question. How will the government shutdown affect Amtrak? It hasn't. It hasn't at all. The train's still running at a normal basis. Our national park packages are not affected because they're not run through national park services. So all of our sightseeing tours are still working perfectly fine, even through this shutdown. Let's see. Diana, is there more than one observation car? Usually not. Usually there's only one. Now I can tell you first, out of every time I've ever ridden the train, I've never once had an issue finding space in the observation car. However, during usually peak travel season, so late spring, summer through early fall, Amtrak on the more scenic routes out west, Amtrak will assess a second observation car just to meet the demand of the travelers. So keep that in mind. Linda, do the trains offer Wi-Fi? Only the regional routes do. So the Northeast regionals, the Sella trains, and the Pacific Surfliner, things like that all have, like the smaller regional routes all do have Wi-Fi. However, the long distance routes, like with the packages we offer, they do not. So usually, the Amtrak is trying to get Wi-Fi on train by train, but as you can imagine, putting Wi-Fi on a cross-country option can be quite a process. So the trains, as of right now, the long distance ones do not. But I'm a tech person myself. I absolutely love it because it's my time of riding the train because it's my time to disconnect from the world. So, to really just not be able to, not have access and to really just kick back and back to the basics and enjoy nature and the scenery that you pass through. Steven, what about gratuities at the meals at the hotels? Meals at the hotels are not included usually. Sometimes we do include a breakfast. That's if the hotel offers a breakfast, but as a whole, meals are not included. Barry, is there parking for our cars at most train stations? Yes, most of the major stations throughout the United States do have long-term parking. Honestly, though, it can vary from station to station because the parking is typically operated by third-party companies, not through Amtrak. So the pricing and the availability of the parking can vary station by station. Mary, is the starting price quoted per person? Yes, the prices that you saw today are based on per person, based on double occupancy. Joy, is the luggage checked in unreachable? Yes, if you do check in your luggage, it's much like flying. You will not have access to it throughout your journey until you get to your final destination. But if you do carry on, you can access that at any point during your train journey. Let's see. Patrick, can you start a vacation from Southern California rather than Chicago? Most definitely. All of our packages can be customizable like that. Darlene, are hotel prices included in the price? Or are they in the prices stated, or are they extra? No, the prices are included in the package price for the hotel. Carter, are Amtrak routes in Canada on Via as well, on Via Rail? Can we book a single trip using both rail services? Yes, you can book a single trip using both rail services. Amtrak routes in Canada are not Via Rail. Amtrak does enter through Canada through Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. But once you're up into Canada, it's all Via Rail. It's not Amtrak. Yes, Carla. Carla did bring up a point. The senior discount used to be 62. It did change last February to 65. Let's see. I got a couple more questions. Got enough time for a couple more. Todd, this is a great question. How do you add days to any stop? Perhaps to visit friends and relatives? Yes, I can tell you tons of people will do that on our vacation packages. Just let us know. We can help arrange that for you. We can put, however many days you'd want to spend in any destination to do that. I can tell you tons of people will do that. Or just let your travel agent know. We can help set that up for you as well. Linda, is there room service on the trains? No, there is no room service, unfortunately. Not on Amtrak. Thank you so much, Geraldine. I appreciate that. Thank you. Stephen, yes, Stephen asked a great question. How does the bus transfer work from San Francisco to Emeryville? So yes, correct. The train does not go directly into San Francisco. It goes to a suburb of Emeryville, California, or Oakland. However, it's just a quick little shuttle bus that will bring you from Emeryville or Oakland to the several, destination points throughout the city. So there's like a Fisherman's Wharf stop, there's an Embarcadero stop, there's a stop for the financial district. So it'll bring you throughout the several different popular areas of the city. Yes, Russell, Wi-Fi access on all trains. Yes, we already went over the Wi-Fi. There's no Wi-Fi. Do the coach seats have electric outlets? Yes, almost every single row of coach seats do have electrical outlets. Sleeping accommodations do have them as well. A roomette will have one. I believe a bedroom has two electric plugs in there. What I always recommend, if you need multiple things to use the plugs, perhaps you have a sleep apnea machine, a CPAP machine, oxygen tank, cell phone, tablet charger, whatever it might be. I always recommend bringing a multi-plug so you can plug in several things all at once. That's a great question. Let's see. Nicole, are all the trips wheelchair accessible? Yes. So The trips that we offer are wheelchair accessible, most definitely. But however, the dining car and observation cars are not wheelchair accessible, typically because they are on the upper level of the train, so they would require stairs, getting the ability to get it up and down stairs. Amtrak does have a handicap accessible rooms on the train. They're really nice and they're big enough to accommodate someone in a wheelchair or traveling with a walker. So they're pretty big rooms. They do have a private toilet and sink in room with the showers just right outside the door. Lucille, for the sleepers, do both passengers pay full price, or is this the price for the room? The price that you see online, well, the price on the thing was for the packages. The sleepers, the price would be split between the two people for the sleeping accommodations. Carter, can we book rental cars through Amtrak Vacations? Yes, you sure can. We work with Hertz, and we can absolutely include rental cars in our packages. Sharon, can we schedule our meals prior to our boarding the train? Our trip originates in Chicago, but we're boarding in Milwaukee and have a diabetic with us. Not before the train, unfortunately, but however, within I'd say the first 20 minutes of being on the train, the dining car attendant comes by to set up those reservation times. So if you explain, that you have someone with diabetes traveling with you, that's not a problem at all. They will definitely, they'll probably make them as an exception for that to try to get you in earlier because that is a medical situation. So they will be, they'll do their best to accommodate. Steven, what about luggage? Do you transfer your own luggage from train to hotel or train to train? Yes, usually you are responsible for transferring your luggage to the hotels as well as from train to train. Mary, does Amtrak allow a payment plan? So that's a great question. We get this question regularly. Amtrak does not have we do not necessarily have a payment plan, but what you can do is you can set up kind of your own payment plan. So what it is say if you usually to book a vacation, you'd put a deposit down, and the deposit's just based on a nominal cost of the trip. It's all based upon the total cost. You put a deposit down. Final payment is required 60 days prior to your departure date. So you can make as many or as little as payments as possible along the way. If you wanted to divvy up and make payments every month, every week, every couple weeks, whatever, however you slice it or dice it, as long as the full payment's due 60 days prior, you could do as much as you want. So people will typically set up their own kind of payment plan, if you will. Adrian, I was told the route from Texas to Florida is down. Yes, that's been down for about, since 2005. So was it 14 years now? Abby, can 2 kids and 2 adults fit in a sleeper car? No, they cannot. Those sleepers are usually a hard 2 people. Roomettes, no more than 2. Hard 2. 2 adults or 1 adult, 1 child. No exceptions. Amtrak, however, does have a family room on board the train. There's 1 per car, and that's a room that's big enough to allow 2 adults and 2 small children. Let's see. Christy, what was the name of the first tour that you spoke about when it went to the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, and Glacier National Park? That is our Grand National Parks featuring the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, and Glacier Park. Let's see. Milagro, our weekend trips available. Leave Friday and return Sunday. Most definitely. We have quick little weekend getaway trips all throughout the U.S. and Canada. So we definitely have at a destination near you. Lana, do you have to book double occupancy? No. I can tell you about a quarter of our travelers do travel solo. I've done it myself. The solo price would be a little bit more than the double occupancy price per person, but it's not like the cruise lines where it's double or sometimes even more than double. Let's see. Jane, can I transfer from the Canadian Railroad to join the Canadian Railroad to join the Canada tour in Toronto? Most definitely. Jose, are there blankets and pillows offered in coach? Yes, they are offered, but there is a cost to them. They aren't complimentary. I believe it's $10 or $12 for it's a packet. It includes blanket and pillows. Connie, how many guests are on the train? I mean, that can honestly vary. It's all based upon how many cars, the season, how many people are booked on the train, how many people are getting off and getting on and off at particular stops. It can honestly vary. Donald, are movies available? No, there are no movies, unfortunately, on board the train. Carter, are the observation cars busy? Yes, they can get busy, but like I said, I've never once had an issue finding space in the observation car. Let's see. Maryland, there is no Wi-Fi, unfortunately, on the train at all. just the regional routes. Stephen, there is no. Stephen's asking if there's any rail service or vacations to Alaska. So there's no trains, unfortunately, to Alaska. What we do offer is we offer our what we call our rail and sail packages, which are the packages that you'll take the train to Seattle and do an Alaskan cruise through Norwegian cruise lines. We actually work directly with and have a partnership with Norwegian to bring these packages to life. Let's see. Kim, how many people per room? 2. Let's see. Tiffany, for the trips that include hotel stays, how does one get from the train to the hotel? Usually you'd want to take a taxi or an Uber or a Lyft. Sometimes in some of the destinations, the hotels are walking distance, so usually it's just a quick little walk. And sometimes, too, the hotels do provide a complimentary shuttle. It can honestly vary from destination to destination and hotel to hotel. Larry, do you need cash for payment or can account be established? Well, it would be credit card payment. We don't accept cash at all. Joy, yes. Joy, yes. Joy's asking, can you please repeat the tipping recommendations? Will I need cash for these? Yes, you sure will need cash. For the car attendant, like I said, $5 per person per day for the car attendant. For the server in the dining car, 18 to 20% per meal, much like for like you would at a restaurant, as well as for if you do a sightseeing tour, I always recommend $5 to $10 per tour per person, as well as for any portage service, $5 per person per service. Kelly, do you need a passport to cross into Canada? Yes, you'll either need that, a passport card, or an enhanced driver's license. Tiffany, what does a hop-on, hop-off tour, sightseeing tour look like? Well, usually it's either a trolley or a double-decker bus, much like a London-style bus, and it'll take you around the city on a big loop. And it has several like little stops along throughout the cities and destinations where you can get off and on as you please. They're usually at like historic sites or popular areas of the city, and you can get off and on as you please at all those different sites. Then they come around maybe every 15, 20 minutes, pick you up, and you can work at leisure and visit all the different spots. David, are coach passengers allowed in the observation car? If so, why? Yes, they are absolutely allowed in the observation car. Doesn't matter if you're in coach or the sleepers, you do have access to the observation car. Now, why is that? Because they want everyone to be able to experience the observation car. It really is the best spot on the train. Steven, what are the liquor rules? Can you bring your own? That's an amazing question, Steven. Yes, you can. However, you have to have a sleeping accommodation. So if you are in a sleeping accommodation, you are allowed to bring on your own beer, wine, and spirits. The only thing is it has to be consumed in the comfort of your own room. You cannot bring it out into the public areas, so you can't bring your own alcohol into the observation car, coach seating, or the lounge car. Now, I will say they do have alcoholic beverages for purchase as well. So if you did want to grab a drink and head down to the observation car, you would just have to, it would be purchased out of pocket with that. But yes, that's another added benefit of having a sleeper. You can bring on board your own liquor. Kim, do the rooms accommodate more than 2 people? No, unless it's the family room that can do 2 adults and 2 small children. Let's see. Dennis, is there medicals? Dennis has a great question. Is there medical services, doctors and nurses available on the train? All the car attendants and the Amtrak employees are all CPR and first aid certified. They do have defibrillators on board the train. However, if it is a serious medical emergency, it is a train. It is on land, so I mean it does make routine stops. If you do have a serious medical emergency, it usually that requires attention. Usually the next station, people would just get off and then go to visit a local hospital. So that's usually how it's handled. But if it's something that's not dire or extreme, Amtrak's employees and the car attendants are all really great at that as well. Cheryl, are there room accommodations for 2 adults and 4 children under 10? No, there is not at all. Joseph, tours where I don't have to walk. Most of our tours are not really walking tours. They'll make stops, but they're mostly motor coach tours. James, thank you so much. James, thank you so much. Hey, please book soon. We appreciate that. Trips are starting to fill up for 2019 already. Linda, are server tips included when meals are included? No, they are not. You would once again 18 to 20% per meal, like you would at a restaurant. Floyd, which accommodations has showers? The bedroom accommodations has its own private shower in room. Kelly, do you have to be in the observation car to get a good view, or are the views just as good in Roomettes? It's more of a dome car and it has giant windows, but the windows of the Roomettes are great too. However, the dining car, or the observation car, does have a dome top and the giant floor-to-ceiling windows. I have time for one last question, and Todd, you are the man of the day. Can you bring your own snacks and food and coach or sleepers? Yes, you sure can. Most definitely. I always encourage it. I can tell you, every time I've been on the trap, I stock up on chips and cookies and whatever I want to bring. Highly recommend that. It doesn't matter if you're in coach or sleepers. Once again, soft drinks, you can bring on soft drinks. It doesn't matter what class you're in, coach, sleepers, whatever. It's just alcohol is really the differential of, you have to be in a sleeper to include your own liquor. And thank you so much. I see so many great compliments coming through. Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you all so much. So I really appreciate that. And folks, keep it in mind, we do these presentations literally every 2 weeks. And I believe our next one is going to be, I think for some reason it's next week, but I could be wrong. Keep your eyes peeled to your emails as we will be sending out the invitation. It is going to be on another great topic. It's actually going to be on the Grand Canyon, Bryce, and Zion National Park. So hopefully you can join us. It'll be another great opportunity to learn a little bit about what we have to offer to all of you. So I just want to thank you all once again for taking time out of your days to learn a little bit about what we have going on. Until next time, everyone, I hope you all take care. Have a great rest of your week, and I hope to chat with you all real soon. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.